if you had the ear of a board or a corporation or a CEO, what would be the top 3 controls for, say, a mid-market company that you would encourage or insist if you were in a position?
The first thing you got to do, training. You've got to train your staff. I know it sounds quite basic, phishing alerts and all that, but you have to. It's more sophisticated than that. You need to train them, but you need to train your staff to make them aware for anything that could occur. The second thing, there might be a longer list than just 3. The second thing is that multi-factor authentication. I think you need to make sure that you've got that in place. The right level of authentication across the company. You just need to make sure that happens. The third thing is you need to have an analog backup solution. What do I mean by that? Companies I was talking to a chairman of another business. They got breached, and they didn't have anyone's phone numbers. They were everything was on Teams, so they couldn't connect to each other. And they were going, well, how do we phone each other? So what they did as their backup now is they've got every director has a safe in their home. In that safe is the phone numbers of every single person that they need to get hold of, as an example. So that's an analog solution for a digital world. So when I have an analog backup.
You touched on is it the Cyber Resilience Act that requires companies to have an incident response plan? And I remember thinking, okay, that's fine. Does it have to be printed on paper and everyone has to have a copy of it somewhere secure? Because you can't just leave that lying around. Like that's all well and good, but if you can't read the plan or you don't know it off the top of your head, no one knows any phone numbers anymore, right? That's a good one.
They didn't know anybody's phone number, so they spent 2 weeks trying to figure out who they could even speak to because they couldn't get hold of anybody. So I think you need to have part of your resilience plan needs to be an analog, for want of a better term, plan. A non-digital plan that you can go back to. It's almost like going some of these films where you watch and they go back to Morse code. I'm not suggesting you do that. You don't have to go that far, but you need to have more of an analog solution ready. So if the worst of it does happen, then you're there. The fourth thing I would say is you've got to have an expert. Sorry, I don't use 4 ones. You've got to have experts who know what they're doing to work with you. So train your people, have a multi-factor authentication solution, make sure that's in place. Make sure you've got an analog backup to anything you do, or whatever that looks like. It could be stuff in a safe or whatever it is. And choose an expert. Don't just choose a jack of all trades. You wouldn't go and choose a cowboy builder to go and build your conservatory. You're going to choose a highly professional person to go and do that. That's what you want to do. You need experts.